I was right. Painting a pumpkin black does indeed not make it a bowling ball. It's now known as Impact Wrestling, and with that came a new set, which is basically like this very light blue. It is a very, very, very light, like almost sky blue, but they do the entire arena in it, and it's blue and white. So basically they went from having Raw colors to SmackDown colors. Brilliant! They reviewed what happened, well, the two matches that everybody, I guess, wanted to know about on the Sacrifice pay-per-view. Sting retained, and I can't really remember what the other part of that was, but apparently AJ Styles is injured again. We know this because he didn't come out a little bit later when Immortal came out and were jaw-jacking, and they actually said this, and I couldn't believe that they said this. They said, they basically said, you think Mick Foley had his hand to do with this? He didn't. It was all us and the guys up north. For those who don't know what that means, he's basically referring to the WWE. It's known as up north. In the territory days, if someone said they were going to Dallas, it meant they were going to World Class. If they went to Atlanta, they were going to Crockett. If they went to Minnesota, they were going to AWA. And if they went up to New York, they were going to the WWF, which is actually in Stamford, Connecticut. Still, it's like little wink, wink, nudge, nudge type thing, and I'm sitting there almost aghast at. Really? You really think the WWE actually cares that much to actually sit down and have negotiations with you? No. It's not going to happen. Anyways, Immortal comes out and they says that, and all of a sudden they said, since Hogan and Foley are up north, quote unquote, that that Immortal's in charge. So Bischoff and Flair are in charge tonight. Out come the X Division stars, Kendrick, Jinmi, and Red. And they were just basically wanting to know, once again, why are we not booked on the show? And I love this, since the quote is now where wrestling matters. I swear I counted at least 20 times where they said, this is a wrestling show where we wrestle, so why are we who are wrestlers not booked on a wrestling show? We want to wrestle. It's like, okay, I get the point. Wrestling matters. You could say it without saying it. You could be a little bit more subtle. TNA lacks subtlety sometimes, I swear. There was a big, basically a Pier 6 brawl. Also announced for tonight is Abyss versus Frankie Kazarian for the X Division title, because apparently it's not about weight limits, it's about no limits. Kendrick says, yeah, that sounds good. Jinmi's booked in a tag match with, and I'm not making this up. I'm really not making this up. I can't believe they did this. It's a swerve, and that's what Russo likes to do. But anyways, it's, and I'm not making this up, Jinmi versus their idol, Matt Hardy, and Eric Bischoff. The less said about his work rate, the less said about his skill in the ring, the better. Seriously. I've seen him work several times. It's not fun. It's the whole, hi-ya, I know karate. Yeah, well, I know a very good form of sign language. I'll be back to y'all in a bit. Really? That's what they follow up with? A 6 knockout match. A 6-woman tag team match. On one team, we have Rosita and Sarita of Mexican American. I'll get on them later. And Madison Rayne, the bitch of a million gimmicks, versus Mickie James, the secretary, Miss Tessmacher, and Tara, who just got her independence. It wasn't a bad match. It's just that nothing happened. They just kept teasing and teasing the whole Tara Madison reign, which isn't bad. I don't mind NHT when it's done properly. I don't mind nefarious heel tactics when it's done to a point that makes it all seem worthwhile. And they didn't do that. At first, it was fine. She blind tagged out to Rosita, and I thought that was great. And then, well, Tara, she literally has, technically what you have is Rosita facing away, then you have Madison Rayne facing towards, and the next thing you know, Tara goes in for the kill, and it's this weird, wonky, like, almost slow motion pandering. If they were going to do it, it needed to be quick and fast, so you just knew it. You didn't know what to expect. Instead, what we have is please get rid of Madison Rayne. I'm tired of her million gimmicks. I really am. I'm tired of gimmick after gimmick after gimmick after gimmick. Hey, we can't seem to make something stick, so let's try this. Let's throw some more shit at the wall and see if it fits. Or see if it sticks. Because most of the time it's just going to keep rolling down the wall till the fans get tired of her. Then, hey, let's just repackage her. How about sending her back to boot camp so she can learn how to wrestle? It might help if she could be able to sell in the ring. It might help if she actually learns some psychology to what she's doing. But instead, no. Let's throw crap up against the wall, see if it sticks. And when it doesn't, it rolls and rolls and rolls and rolls and rolls down. Oh, it's down on the floor now. What are we going to do? Every single time. I just got a brilliant idea. Why don't we take every gimmick she's ever had and put it into one gimmick? Because at least at that point, I guarantee you, it's got to stick. Has to. There's really no other choice. It would have to stick at that point. If you've tried everything else and it's not working, so you decide to try every gimmick she's ever had at one time. She could wear like the tiara of Madison Rayne and some other stuff that I can't remember all of her gimmicks. She's had so many. I'll be back in a bit. Once again, I couldn't take all of it in one setting, so here's what happened next. Abyss won the X Division title. I'm going to say that again because it bears repeating. Abyss won the X Division title. What's wrong with this scenario? I know that they say it's about weight limits. It's not about weight limits, it's no limits. But guess what? Let's look at the list of the past people that's held that title. What have they mostly been? Cruiserweights. So guess what? It's a cruiserweight title without them actually branding it as cruiserweights. The only notable exception is Samoa Joe. Other than that, every other person has been 225 pounds or under. Guess what? It's a cruiserweight title! Jeepers Cripes! Who the fuck booked that? Who thought that would actually make money to make Abyss, a 350-pound lummox, the X Division champion? Oh, it was funny. It really was kind of funny. Abyss quoted Sun Tzu's Art of War. Because that was before the match, actually. Bischoff told him, remember Sun Tzu. So he quotes The Art of War. And he said that the way it works is you outsmart your opponent with your mind instead of fighting. The only problem was you fought up until the point that you said you had a bad knee. Did you outsmart your opponent? Maybe. But at the same time, you can't say that you outsmarted your opponent at the end of the match when you've been beating him down for the past 45 minutes. Well, less than that, it was about 10. You simply can't do that. Up next, Samoa Joe versus Sangre. No. Amazing Red. I'm sorry. They look a lot alike. Really, they do, and their movesets are very similar, if you noticed. I'm not saying anything at all. But, Red versus Joe was a squash match. Obviously, Joe squashed him in less than like a minute and a half. It's pretty much punch, 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 kick, kick, throw him into the turnbuckle, muscle buster, and Red sold it like he was dead because he literally like popped back up and then came back down. It was a great sell. But that match was a squash match for one purpose: to bring out Crimson. I don't have a problem with Crimson. He looks like a creator wrestler, in my opinion. Like if you went on SmackDown versus Raw, all you had to do is make a guy a little bit taller, put a little bit more muscle on him, put a bunch of tattoos on him, put him in jeans. Hey, it's Crimson! Crimson hits a very nasty-looking T-bone suplex, but sends Joe packing. Because apparently this is either the little brother or the big brother of Amazing Red. I don't know. I really don't know. But I've got to finish up the next segment. I'll be back here in a bit. I got to know one thing really quick. Why does everybody have to be engulfed in blue flames? Well, what to say about this one? AJ Styles comes out and calls and has a neck brace on. Don't know what he's doing in the ring if he has a neck injury, but he's there. I don't know, maybe he bruised his ovaries this time. Don't you think? I mean, he's already had a bruised cervix. Why the hell can he not have bruised ovaries? Bruised boobies? I don't know. But there's one thing I do know. If you have an injury like that, that's almost career-ending, you should probably take time off to mend, don't you think? Anyways, he calls out Tommy Dreamer. And this is where it gets a little hairy. He says, AJ basically says, I know, I saw the big picture, and the reason you did all that was because of the Immortal and Bully Ray thing, because they own your contract now, and if you don't do what they say, you get, your contract becomes null and void. And he goes, for pile driving me and giving me stretched ligaments or something in my neck, I don't hold you responsible. And Tommy just kind of gets a little wide-eyed, and he goes, well, that's all real good and stuff, but do you think that if you didn't have a messed up neck, I couldn't beat you? Do you think that if I didn't have something, that if you were 100%, I couldn't beat you? He goes, are you saying that you could walk a mile in my shoes, in what I've done? He said, I held a company, I built a company from the ground up, and not everybody held my hand along the way. He said, last night, or at Sacrifice, I pile drove you because I had to. Now I'm going to do it because I want you. And he clocks him in the back of the head, or he clocks him in the head with the mic, at which point the neck brace goes flying. At which point, if I was AJ Styles, I'd say, get the fuck out of the ring! Anyways, Tommy starts beating on him. And as he's doing it, what ends up happening is TNA likes to rehash stuff all the time and use stuff that's been used. Tommy Dreamer basically almost revisits his anti-hardcore promo from ECW. Saying stuff like, do you think these fans care? Do you think these fans really give a shit about what happens to you? Do you think these fans really care? Yeah, AJ, come back for the fans. Come back because you want to make them happy because they pay your bills. And he ends up doing something. He says something else, at which point the crowd starts chanting, you sold out. But I'm sitting there going, you son of a bitch. Why the fuck would you go back to a promo that you did earlier in your career? Sometimes it's good for nostalgia. If you're doing it just because you can't think of something new, that's entirely different. Hey, Impact Wrestling, since you're not TNA anymore, which stands for Totally Nauseous Action, by the way, think it's a new storyline. For the love of Christ. Anyways, AJ finally starts to fight back. And Tommy pinches his neck. And as he does, AJ starts selling his neck injury that he has not sold up until this point when the original attack happened. He sold it a little bit, but other than that, as soon as he got up and he was just standing fine. He wasn't holding his neck to one side or holding his neck at all when he stood up. Christopher Daniels comes in and goes, he has a family. He has a family. He's got a neck injury. What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? And he turns around. Tommy thinks he's going to get the upper hand. Christopher comes across with like a backhand and just starts whipping the tar feathers out of him. Bully Ray comes in the ring with his chain. Basically, it looks like he took a wallet chain and took the wallet off of it so we can just wrap it around his hand and clock someone with it. Which he does. He clocks AJ in the back of the head. Tommy gives Daniels like a low blow forearm shot. Christopher goes down. Tommy gets up, and at which point Taz says, I hate Taz at this point. God damn it, I hate Taz. Jesus Christ, get that fucker off the goddamn mic. Taz is going, he's not done yet. He's not done yet. I can tell he's not done yet. I can sit there and friggin' tell he's picking him up and putting him between his legs. Guess what's going to happen? Pile driver. Wow, hard to figure out, right? By the way, since wrestling matters all of a sudden in this company, that second promo that they cut tonight, aside from the other promos that happened, I've counted in that promo alone, that AJ Styles and Tommy Dreamer promo, 9 times. 9 times they said the word wrestling. I get it. You're a wrestling promotion. You don't have to beat it into my fucking head. You don't have to sit there and constantly point out it's a wrestling promotion. You got guys in spandex wrestling. I get the point. Gotta watch the next goddamn segment. I'll be back. I just gotta know what in the blue fuck the crowd is smoking. Well, after getting my monitor back up and working, I'm back at this shitstorm again. It was a nice little break. I got to think about actually good wrestling.
You got it, Joey? Who is it?
God, I sure miss myself. Apparently, I only caught 3/4 of the Kurt Angle, Jeff Jarrett confrontation. At the end of it, Jarrett's music starts up, and lifting out on a wheelchair is the gremlin herself, Karen Angle. Can't stand Karen Angle. I really fucking can't stand Karen Angle. But she does that whole thing of, Jeff's not going to be alone at at Slammiversary. I'm going to be there too. Whoop-de-freaking ding-dang-do. Well, boo-hoo buckaroo. I don't care. I think her name's Velvet Sky. Pops up behind her. And as she gets done laughing and just laughing maniacally as well, she grabs the mic and says, "Hi, Gremlin. Do you want to go for a ride?" She's going, "No, no, no." And 10A and Taz are going ape shit and sitting there going, "Just don't send her for a ride. No, 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 don't. And she pushes her down the ramp. Jeff just happens to be there to catch her, and they fall out. Kurt's laughing. Velvet's laughing. I could give a flying fuck. I really, really could. I'm still not through this segment, and I'm still getting pissed off more by the second. Eric Bischoff is doing a kata or something, and the next thing I know, he has a cell phone call, and it's from Hogan. Keep that in mind. He says, "Everything's under control. How did it go with your network talk?" And he laughs and goes, I knew it. Put Hogan and Foley in a room with two network execs, and we know what happens. He tells them he's in a match. He goes, "Oh, no, I got it covered. I'm with Matt Hardy." Really? You want to be with Matt Hardy in You want to be with Matt Hardy in a match. You want Matt Hardy as a tag team partner. I'm good. Matt Hardy. It's a I think I'm back now. Now, keep that in mind, that apparently Hogan was on the phone with Bischoff, because we have that wonky backstage camera, which I'd say get a better camera crew, but they don't. So what you have is this wonky camera. It's in and out and weaving around and up and down and around. And finally it comes in on Karen Angle. God, I hate her. In her wheelchair. And Jeff Jarrett on the phone. And he says, "It's a done deal." And he goes, "Good." And he turns his phone off. She goes, "Who was that?" And he goes, "That was Eric Bischoff." How in the blue fuck could Bischoff be on the phone with Hogan while being on the phone with Jarrett? That's a space-time paradox even I can't boggle. And seriously, I'm going to have a goddamn headache by the end of this. Up next, though, Generation Me. I know them as Nick and Matt Jackson. They're known as Max and Jeremy Buck. Versus Matt Hardy and Eric Bischoff. Let's hope my brain stays intact. Well, Eric Bischoff and Matt Hardy get the win over Generation Me. It was a really, really, really crappy match, considering that Matt Hardy did all the work, and it's what I was expecting. You have to try to protect Eric here, but Eric still gets the Duke with a weird-looking side kick and then a very, very nasty-looking front kick, and that's not in a good way. It looked like he just literally just clocked one of the Jackson brothers. Really, it did. Hope he's okay. So, what's up for the X Division now? I'm assuming the X Division is dead for the most part. Just dead. There's nothing left for the X Division now, I don't think. Ode to the X Division. Been with the company for 9 years. And then you lose it? Fucking stupid. Anyways, after that, Velvet Sky wrestled in a handicap match against Hypnotard and Winter. And they had a little segment before that whole Our Souls Were Connected bullshit again that I don't really give a flying fuck about. And then they had their match. Velvet actually wins the match. She actually caught, I think, Hypnotard in a roll-up and won that way, which wasn't a bad match, I guess. It wasn't a good match by any stretch of the imagination. But then ODB returns. Once again, I pointed this out last week. These people that are returning, you probably might want to promote. They did it last week with Ric Flair. They do it this week with OD freaking B. You can say what you want to, but she was over. She can actually wrestle in their division, which is something I can't say for 3/4 of the women that wrestle in Impact Wrestling. It drives me insane. It really does. You know what I'm doing now? I'm inflicting bodily harm over this. Jesus Christ. One more segment, and I can end this entire bullshit parade. We also had another fan segment where they told what wrestling meant to them. And this time the guy's like, it's in my veins. I've been watching it forever. Once again, why the fuck are you watching Impact? The only reason I'm watching it is because I have to be a conscientious... I have to sit here and watch this so I can be objective to it. I'm actually trying to give it a fair shake. I really am. This is about as fair a shake as I can give it. What more do you want from me? Do you want me to sit here and glad hand the entire goddamn promotion? You want me to jerk off Eric Bischoff? What the fuck do you want? Jesus Christ. My God, this is horrible. I actually like TNA Impact better than I like Impact. It actually made more sense. Ugh. I really don't know what to think after that. I really don't. It was Eric Young and Miss Tessmacher. And she's like, I wasn't even ready for a photo shoot. This isn't even a photo shoot. Where's your camera? He goes, well, for one thing, you're doing it wrong. He proceeds to then strip down to his underwear and says, can you see the trap? Can you see my trapezius? And she goes, no, I can't. All of a sudden, Murray shows up, who apparently Eric Young won the TV title from, I'm assuming. I don't know. Needless to say, Murray beats him up and takes the title. Steals his title, I guess you could say. End of segment. Not bad. It was okay. It was funny in spots, I'll give it that, but really? Really. Murray can't wrestle. And Eric Young's just a comedy character. That's all he is. I like comedy wrestlers. I really do. But it's Eric Young. Seriously. He's kooky. He's funny. And I'm actually going to go on a limb and say I love goofy comedy wrestlers when they serve a purpose. When they serve a real good purpose. And this one didn't. This segment was just there. It had no reason to be there. After that, Ric Flair comes down to the ring, calls out Bobby Roode about the lockdown match where he ripped his shoulder out of socket that he managed to come back from 2 weeks later. Real good healing time there, Rick. Sadly, you're tarnishing your legacy right now, but hey, whatever floats your boat. You're still going to be the man no matter what. But anyways, they start talking. They have a few words back and forth. I don't remember all the words that were said, but Ric Flair said, I taught you to be the man. I took you out, got you too late, and all this other stuff. And once again, 7 times this time. 7 goddamn times. Wrestler or wrestle was used. I get the point. You're a wrestling company. I get it. Please stop shoving it down my goddamn throat. Please. Jesus Christ, I'm tired of hearing it. We're wrestlers who wrestle in a wrestling ring on a wrestling show in a wrestling promotion. It also happens to show wrestling. We're wrestlers who wrestle. Jesus, just stop! Anyways, he goads, because Bobby Roode did not want to put the armbar back on him, and he goads him into doing it long enough for Immortal to come down and beat the living tar feathers out of him. Why? Because apparently, during that Pier 6 brawl, James Storm had a back injury. Daniels and AJ were out. And now Bobby Roode's out. Where's that leave Fortune? Are there other members waiting in the wings like WCW Special Forces? Probably not. They just buried a complete group. One of the preliminary stables in their company, they just buried. Yeah, it makes total goddamn sense. Well, that last segment was completely pointless. We've been following, or they have been following, I wasn't, what they thought was Sting the entire night in his old school Surfer Sting garb. They wasn't following Sting, it was Mr. Anderson covered up as Sting. Sting's in the ring, cuts a general promo saying he's glad to be in Impact, and he made an Impact, and an Impact this, and an Impact that, and something else with an Impact. And then the lights go out, and his music starts up again, and Sting has this look of, what the fuck? He just really has this look of, what the fuck? And he's got his back turned. He turns. Anderson comes out doing the whole blue and yellow Sting, which, if it's going to be me, it would be bright orange and turquoise. That's my personal favorite. But he does that, turns him around, hits the Scorpion Death Drop, and just lays him there, and he's sitting there going, woo! 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 So he's taunting Sting. But I've already told you, with their match at Slammiversary being a #1 contenders match, guess what? Anderson's not winning. I'm calling it now. Anderson loses at the next pay-per-view. He loses at Slammiversary, I guess, which is actually going to be Slammiversary 9. It's their version of WrestleMania. Ain't nowhere near going to be the amount that WrestleMania is. Never ever and will, well, never will and never ever will be. So, I've just sat through 2 hours of absolute bullcrap. Really, I have. I just had to go take about 1,000 milligrams of acetaminophen because I have a headache. My neck hurts. I have some self-inflicted harm. And for what? It was a horrible, horrible, horrible show. They've managed to almost kill off the entire X Division. They managed to kill off Fortune, one of their preliminary stables, as I pointed out. Abyss is your X Division champion. Who booked it? All comes back to one answer. Vince goddamn Russo. Figured it out. I don't know why Mike Russo actually thinks he can book. Because he's not booking, he's writing. If he was actually booking, people would actually have characters that were more like themselves for the most part. And it would be better. And to end it on a note, I guess, attention LA street gangs. Why kill yourselves when there's perfectly good bookers down in Florida that need to be shot? Please do the wrestling fans a favor. Please, we're begging you. Do something. Angry Mark, out.